Hello, so this week I re-released the Penny Quilt Pattern, which is one of my best-selling patterns, and I added queen and king sizes and made the entire pattern fat quarter friendly and more fabric efficient. And I have had a lot of requests for different mock-ups using the pattern, but I've also had a lot of requests to see how I do my mock-ups, so I thought I would show you both things. So today I'm going to be mocking up the Penny Quilt using Parlor by Crystal Manning. I'm going to be mocking up the lap size quilt. I'm going to be using Electric Quilt to do the mock-up. So I currently have the file already set up using Geometry from Ruby Star Society, and I'm going to swap it to Parlor by Crystal Manning. Setting it up is the most work of all of it, and making a mock-up takes about 10 or so minutes after that part's already done. So once you have everything set up, doing a mock-up doesn't take very long, especially if you're using a collection like this that has lots of prints, so you have lots of options. For this pattern, I only need 12 fat quarters, and this collection has a lot more than 12 prints in it, so I'm just going to start plugging fabrics into it, and then I'll probably swap some of them out because I want to get more fabric diversity. All my fabrics are right here. Parlor starts right here with this purple print. I'm going to make them a little bigger so I can see the prints a little better. Program can be a little bit slow, especially if you have a lot of files loaded into it, and you definitely could downsize the files before you upload them, but that's just too much work for me. So sometimes it's just a little bit slow. So here you can either pick paintbrush, which will change one block like this. I don't want to do that, so I want to do swap color. So I'm going to click swap color right here. Once I click a fabric and select swap color, and then I tap on a fabric in the quilt, every time that fabric appears, it will get swapped out with the new color. So this saves a ton of time. If you had to go through and individually change each one, doing mock-ups would be a lot less fun. So Crystal Manning's fabrics I find usually very easy to work with in quilts. They tend to work really well. There's a lot of color and print diversity, and so I mock up a lot of patterns in her fabric collections. I am just I'm not skipping anything right now. I'm just putting everything in, and then I'll go through and swap it out for a little more diversity. I probably won't use these lower volume prints just because I prefer to have kind of a more even distribution of value across the quilt for the most part. I want some variation, but maybe not. See how dark this dark purple is and how light this is? I probably don't want quite that much variation. Because this is such a large collection, I have that option to not do that, so probably won't. So I'm just going to keep swapping these out. And then I'm just on my computer doing Control Z to undo if I don't like the way something turns out. So Electric Quilts made a lot of changes over the years to improve their program, and definitely if they ever wanted my input, I would be happy to give them more suggestions, and I have emailed them with my suggestions, and hopefully one day they will take more of those and implement them, because I do think this is a really good program that could be, you know, a little bit better in ways that would benefit me. So I do think, for example, how slow the program can be is kind of annoying. Also, like if you notice, this is an on point quilt, and so the fabric goes in there like it's not on point, so it's rotated, and if you want to rotate the fabric, it can take a while. So I wish they had an option to just rotate all fabric 45 degrees, and I have suggested this to them. So that's the main one I'm waiting for, guys. Just let's add that. I'm just trying to test out. I love purple, so I want to get all the purples in there, but I don't know if I'm going to. I do think, like right now, I'm looking at it, and there's kind of a lot of this floral, so I'm thinking, yeah, I like that better already. And then I tend to like a more of the multicolored prints in this selection. This is probably my least favorite print, that one right there. Oh, I really like that print, so I want to get that in there. I'm going to try out a couple more and see if I like them better, or if I want to leave them. Let's see. Just going to keep testing them until I am happy with how everything looks. There's definitely a ton of like personal preference here. For example, I want to put all the purples in, and I don't tend to like yellows as much, so my preference is to leave out the yellows, but I also like how the yellow adds to the collection, so I don't want to leave out all the yellows. So, you know, if you love yellow, you might put a ton of yellow in your mock-up. All right, I think I'm happy with how that looks. So what I'm going to do now is go through, Moda a lot of times will include in their fabric downloads the solids that coordinate with the collection, which are these ones right here. So I'm going to try each one of them as the sashing color. And I am, oh yeah, their fabric file has black on the edge, so that's kind of annoying. And for whatever reason, when I mocked up this quilt, I didn't use all the same white for the sashing, so let's fix that real quick. I'm just going to select that and that. Now we can see that. I don't love this because I want a little more contrast, even though, you know, I love purple. That's a little bit better, except for I don't love it with this print right here. Let's try really dark. That's actually pretty good. So I usually, if I want a dark sashing, I like to do a dark binding. One thing in Electric Quilt is if you hold down the command key, the Alt command key, I have a Mac, I don't know what that is on a PC, and then click, it will change all of those blocks in the same place to that fabric. So I'm hitting that button and clicking on the binding, and so all the binding changes to that fabric. So I like this. This looks good. Okay, let's try, I'm going to be adventurous and keep it as a color. Okay, I don't like that. Let's try the green. That one is okay, but I think I like the dark one the best. Oh, we didn't try this one. Let's see. Oh dear, that's not for me. Maybe that's for you. That is not for me. Okay, I like this one the best. So I'm going to say this. So if I wanted to rotate all the fabric, which I will sometimes do this in a mock-up and sometimes I won't because it's kind of annoying, is, and this one doesn't have any really strongly directional fabrics like stripes or, you know, something where the direction of the fabric is really obvious, is I'm going to click here, rotate fabric, and then you can either do rotate or you can do simple, which is a 90-degree rotation. That doesn't work for an on-point quilt. I want a 45-degree location, so I click advance, change it to 45, and then anytime I click part of a block, it will rotate the fabric 45 degrees. And I can hold down that command key again, and it will rotate any of the same block in the same location. But once you've made a bunch of mock-ups with the same layout, it doesn't really work very well because it just doesn't. So, you know, you can do this all day long and it just takes forever. It's a little slow to respond, but it gets there. So that's how I do my mock-ups. I do pretty much all of them in Electric Quilt like this. I do really appreciate fabric companies for making the JPEGs of their images available for projects like this, because it makes this part of my job really fun. I get to share lots of options with you, and I hope you've enjoyed this and found this informative. I made a ton of mock-ups for this quilt, and I'll be sharing those. And if you want to purchase the Penny Quilt, you can find it at kitchentablequilting.com.